How do I? Okay, you guys can hear me and you can unmute yourself and talk to me, right? Good. Yes, we have 1 more minute to get started. And our classes are 1.5 hours, right? Just to make sure we are all aligned. Calendar is set up for 1.5 hours. That is correct. Anybody can speak. You can
Yes.
unmute it. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Shanmuka. Okay, we are on that time, so I think we should start on time. You can see my presentation and view slide only. This is where we were last time. Okay. And I was trying to explain you what are the different types of data centers. Anybody has idea what is hyperscale data center means? Anybody can try to explain what is hyperscale data center means? We will go talk in details, but just at least remember these types of data center. Anybody can unmute and say hyperscale data center means what? If you speak, you will learn a lot. Okay. Even if you are not correct, that's okay. Hyperscale, you can say
Hyperscale data centers,
very large, right? Very large, highly
yeah,
automated data center, right?
exactly, sir. These are like used for some pretty huge processes like big data or AI. Like,
AI
assume we are talking
workloads,
about,
cloud
yeah.
services, correct? Very good.
Let's
Excellent.
let's assume we are talking about OpenAI's data centers. Those are kind of hyperscale.
Like 10,000, 1 lakh servers, okay? Big,
Exactly.
very good. Hundreds of megawatt of power is required, right? So like a
Yes. Yes.
200 to
Yes.
500 megawatt power, they have to have their own, and there are a lot of controls with software defined controls. We'll talk about all that, right? But I think hyperscale, you understand what it mean by. Okay,
Yeah.
anybody can tell me what is the edge data center? What is edge data center means? Edge data center. Have you heard about it? This word. We will talk about each of this, but just
Edge data centers is like, sir, these are kind of small and localized systems which basically used to provide fast support to end users and uh,
this process the data locally,
here
correct?
we just need to ensure that there is minimum delay.
Yes, latency is minimum. Very good.
IoT, it's
Low
it's like for
latency.
IoT, it's like for autonomous vehicles. Like assume if
Hmm.
there are some Tesla's localized centers
Very
which are
nice.
providing their these cars good
Okay, very good.
localized
And
systems.
what is the co-location data center? Co-location. What is co-location data center means? Anybody can please pitch in and talk. Co-location data center. Anybody? So co-location, right? As the name suggests, right? The data center like a third party facility, right? Where
Yeah, they are
multiple
like
customers rent the space.
other
Hmm.
organizations are renting spaces from data
Yeah,
centers.
yes. So rent the space, rent the cooling connectivity, so everything arrangement is rented, right? Renting the data center, you know, like you can
Yeah, but
because the
I
expenses.
bring my own server storage and everything. The data center just provide power, cooling, physical security, internet
Correct.
connection, those things.
Very nice. Okay, good. So please look at each of them, although I will also explain later. But these are the different types of data centers right now in deployment, and lot of new things are happening. We will talk about it later. But remember these data centers, okay? Now, modern data center, what is happening? You should know, just one picture there, but there are books, by the way. I will send you some digital book also. I found very nice. I will, while we starting the next class, next CS02 presentation, I will show you that book also. You can have an online book, you can read it. So basically, the modern data center, right? It is not like 10 years back how it was. Even this files was written in 2022, but I see there is a lot of scope to look at what is happening today, and I will talk about all those, right? So So cloud data centers, what it is, that concept also we'll talk, because the processing power still continue to double, right? Like Moore's law, power is doubling and costs are falling, and that all will impact the data centers, right? See, this modern data center now has to do the AI workloads. And last time, I think I briefly told you that people are trying to deploy their data centers in the space, right? Because power is such a critical, and power can be, solar power can be generated in the space, and this is reality. A lot of things are happening, a lot of startups are happening. I will give you, as we make progress, some of the insight into what is happening today, but you can remember that, um, you know, new things, new workloads are changing the way the data centers are built, right? So the models that would have likely been cost prohibitive few years back, right? Now they are in deployment right now, right? So like a deep learning, machine learning, you heard about that, these models are improving, and how some people who has a very good understanding of this AI models are, so valuable. People are paying like crazy money to them to get them on board. And because of all that development, data center will impact, right? And, software defined storage is another thing. I don't know if anybody can talk about what is a software defined storage means. Anybody can talk about what is software defined storage? Storage, memory, right? But what is software defined storage means? Software defined storage, also called SDS, is a storage architecture where a storage intelligence is implemented in the software. That means what? This is decoupled from the proprietary storage hardware, right? Software will control how the data is stored, how it is replicated, how it is protected, how you can access the data, while the hardware definitely is a commodity, right? So definitely the disk and the memory, non-volatile memory, that all will be there. So software defined storage, right? Generally, you can see many IT organizations, right? Some of the greatest storage flexibility is, happening. And if you heard about virtual storage, anybody can tell what is virtual storage means? Have you heard about virtual storage? These words, at least what is the idea? It's a concept, right? Where physical storage resources are abstracted into the logical storage units, so that applications and users see the flexible pooled storage instead of individual disk or devices. Basically, virtual storage. I will give you more details about all of these concepts, but just remember, all these modern data centers will have software defined storage or virtual storage, all these concepts, right? So basically, when we say my um, server has 1 terabyte of disk or something, you can say I have a virtual space of 3.5 terabyte, like, you will say disk 1 is 1 terabyte, disk 2 is 2 terabyte, disk 3 is 500 GB. So basically you can say virtual, I have 3.5 terabyte with a defined performance, redundancy and policies. Okay. And applications don't care where the data physically lives, but it will, all look at this virtual storage and use it, right? Why this virtual storage is required? Because it has a better utilization, it has a lot of flexibility, you can resize volumes without, downtime, right? Move the data transparently, you can see that lot of data can be mirrored or migrated. A lot of concepts are there that we will discuss as we make progress, but just remember these keywords. Today this is a like a first CS01 presentation, so remember these concepts. Okay. um, we will go a little detail once we start saying I want to design a data center, right? How to do it, right? So there is an exponential growth, right? So we can call it as a digital boom, right? So many opportunities for entrepreneur, new guys, startups are coming up, right? So they have to multiply the revenue. So basically, students are also now they don't have to invest capital investment. They can rent whatever they need, from the cloud. All that interesting things are happening, right? Digital boom we call it, right? So um, we want to make sure this is percolated to the IT, the way the IT is handled for big organization, right? So IT itself is like a big business, right? Somebody is just into the business where they are developing the cloud and renting it, right? You can see that your mobile phone, they will say, okay, your space is full. Do you want to pay this much per month and do it, right? So all kind of innovation and basically the revenue earning things are happening, right? So basically everywhere a lot of things are changing. So you can again see that as we progress and technology advances, the IT organizations and businesses, right? They will have to look at what is changing. They have to look at what are the transformations happening, and that technological change will definitely create completely new ways of doing the business as well as design and operate a data center, right? So they call this operating overall is happening, right? And there are emerging areas, like what are those areas? Emerging areas like you can say AI workloads we just talked about, right? So we e-commerce is now is a rule, right? Everybody now new EV cars, right? So driverless cars already in if you go to Arizona, right? You can book those cars. Those don't have drivers, but how they are working? So they must be accessing a lot of data from some server somewhere, right? Or there may be some definitely server like system within that EV car also. So a lot of different business models, different use cases. So the way the IT was done 5 years, 2 years back, it will be different. That is one thing that you should understand, right? And most important thing, this black. I don't know whether this the word simplification is the new black. Black is simplicity. We call black color, right? Simplicity. So we have to make it simple. The life of startup companies or big organization, we have to make it simple. How do we make it simple, right? So we are seeing that we need a compute resource, right? We need GPU, TPU, whatever you can call it. New, the Google came up with a TPU. Have you heard about TPU? What is TPU? Anybody can tell what is TPU? Have you heard Google's TPU? Yes, TPU, Google TPU. Anybody has heard what is TPU from the Google? Tensor processing unit. Okay, they have made a custom AI accelerator chip. Okay, and this is designed specifically to run machine learning workloads, especially for neural networks. You know, uh, they this is called TPU. Okay, tensor processing unit. So why they build it? Because Google workloads are like searching or YouTube or translate, right? So you saw their Gemini, right? They find the limits using the CPUs and GPUs. So because CPU and GPUs that they were using for these things, they were consuming high power, they were inefficient for matrix mathematics. Okay, so there were scaling bottlenecks. So they build the TPUs to maximize the performance per watt. They have better matrix operations, and also they actually can scale up. They can put thousands of chips, right, in that. So anyway, we will talk about in details whenever we discuss about the design of data centers. But this is ex device explosion. You can think about it, right? GPU, TPUs. Beyond CPU and GPU that now TPU will come in the picture, and the computer is responsible for operating the press at maximum efficiency. What is press? Because now if I want to write article, I don't know whether you follow my LinkedIn post. I post every day one article. How it is possible? I don't write it everything. Okay, I copy from here, there, but important critical topics in VLSI design, whatever my experience is there, I share. So that way I brush up what is happening, new stuff I come to know, and lot of thousands of following people, they will understand what is happening, and they can quickly 10 minutes read the latest happening. So what I'm saying is we use chat GPT, all those things. So similarly, the press, printing, nowadays writing the article is not a big deal. Any area you can think beyond humans' comprehension, machine can tell you what is latest happening and all that, right? So this is a boom, right? Internet of Things, like you can see everything. Trillions of devices will talk through the cloud. You have one device talking to another device through the cloud. One device will send the data to cloud, and through the cloud another device will talk to that other device, right? So this is Internet of Things, right? So it was long time back, but now trillions of devices will be connected, right? We still have not achieved the full potential of what IoT can do. This, you can say, we are still in early stage, right? So IoT proliferation in the next few years is going to be very big, massive, right? Everybody, all the electronic devices are going to talk to each other. That means they have to talk through cloud only, right? So this is the old report, Gartner report. There's a 25 trillion connected devices. Imagine, this is a mind-boggling number, right? Huge number of devices going to talk. That means, how do you then have a simplified architecture, right? How do you manage all these kind of things, right? In the IT departments, big challenge, right? It becomes responsibility of this IT department to make sure all these systems and these endpoints need to be connected properly, right? How do you connect them? So they have to come up with the very simplified and administration of this system. So management simplification is very, very key, right? To give you the idea, a lot of devices are going to be connected. A lot of new workloads are coming. There is going to be um, trillions of devices to be connected, and accordingly, you need to build, operate, and run the IT organizations with these clouds, or you can say data centers. Okay. Now you can see, if you just look at how much money is being spent, right? You can uh, look at the report, right? Billions and billions are spent to build the data centers, right? Google is building data center in India. Do you know where it is building? Anybody knows? Google is building data center in India. Where?
Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra Pradesh. Very good. You know what is the investment? What kind of investment they are going to do? Have you heard? Google, if you are absolutely right. They announced in last year, right? 2025, they announced. You know how much it will cost. They are talking about uh, 7 million dollar to $12 million per megawatt. Megawatt. They are going to, so that much spend, right? So basically, uh, huge, right? This will be AI optimized high density facility, right? And they are going to spend like $600 to $1,000 per square foot area, right? And they are going to have, you can say, millions and millions of dollars invested, right? In that facility. I heard Google is investing close to $6 billion. Okay, and that is for building a 1 gigawatt data center, and this whole power infrastructure, including this renewable energy and all that they are talking about. So all this is, you can say, spending, right? It is because we have a different workload models and different needs today, right? Despite the fact that number of integrations and the amount of data IT has to manage, right? Because they have to operate with a given cost. So cost of power is increasing huge. So that's why these kind of efforts are happening. All the chief information officers of the company are only talking about how do I do it efficient, building of data center, how do I operate it efficiently, and how do I can store more data, and what new things are coming up, looking at the future, what kind of investment I have to do, right? So there will be demand where this has to be run 24/7, right? The very important that your data center is always up and running. There is no any reason, right? Security perspective, more secure. There are a lot of things, and this should be highest performing, optimize power cost, right? So many things are there, right? So uptime demands are there, and there will be two main ventures where the push for simplicity definitely will come, and then manufacturers and IT executives are going to say, okay, how do I manage this huge thing, right? How do I build it? So always you can think about, when we have such kind of exponential growth, then we need to figure it out. How do we optimize everything, right? Vendor simplification, uptime demand, how to make it efficient, right? How do you do it in optimal cost? That means budget constraints are there. How do you do it? So these are the key words you can remember on this. Okay. Again, uh, they want to make sure that manufacturers, right, must begin to design and redesign their products, right, with administrative simplicity mind. So that is called simple consoles. That means we need to build a product that must be simple. In fact, the product will almost assuredly, right, be even more complex, but products must have the intelligence to self-configure, solve problems, make decisions, and all that is going to apply for that server system also, right? So uh, how do you make your IT system autonomous? How to make it simple? How do these guys can spend less money, right? Although complexity is not going to reduce, we are going to spend more time on many different aspects of workload management. So how do you do it? So this is the overall thought process for every IT director or IT management team, or you can say a chief information officers of the company, right? So productivity, how to make it more productive, although at the same time how to handle the complex workloads, right? And security, right? You have to make sure you troubleshoot faster, you don't allow anything to fail, right? Your memory is not short of doing some job, right? All those aspects they have to look. And most important, if you see these keywords that highlighted here, right? One of the most primary ways, okay, this might be done to eliminate organization silos and prevent communication and collaboration. So how do you make that happen? Because today there will be hundreds of within groups, right, within a big organization. So how do you make sure when you design the and operate the data center, how everybody's need is taken care, how they are not talking independently, they are not being silos, but they are working together to build the most optimized data center. These are the critical things that you can watch. Like, and cost, this is no brainer. Cost has to be minimal. Operation cost, design cost, and maintenance cost, whatever, right? That's why people will think capex, opex. Capex is capital investment, upfront investment, how much? Opex, operational cost, how much? And every time we have to make sure this, for every company, the cost is going up exorbitantly because your revenue has to grow, your overall needs is to grow. So accordingly, you have to squeeze your resources, squeeze your budget, and make sure that you design, operate the data center to the most optimized way. So it is just showing the data growth, right? From, it's continuously growing, and this growth is not slowing down. Okay. So worldwide data center spending is keep increasing. So now for that, you guys are learning, okay, how do I focus on reducing the cost of design, cost of operation, cost of even futuristic, what are the things I are coming up and what I should use. Should I just continue using CPUs for building the servers, or I should think about TPUs, or we should think about working with the guys who build these servers and suggest them to build AI, intelligent servers. What, all that continuous thinking has to happen because billions of dollars are involved, right? So how do you do that? IT department will focus on the expenses, right? All the possible expenses, right? Running expenses or whatever expenses are there. Everything you have to think. Hardware definitely, right? Moore's law is telling, and which is continuing to happen. This is the old files, but still I'm thinking hardware deflation. Anybody can tell what is hardware deflation means? This word. Anybody has understood what is hardware deflation means? Anybody can elaborate? What is this word? You will see that. What is hardware deflation means. Hardware deflation refers to decline in the cost, right? Cost is decreasing. So you have to figure it out how to take the benefit of reducing cost. Although complexity of the servers is increasing, power consumption increasing, performance is increasing, but cost are going down, right? So the hardware over the time capabilities are increasing, but cost is going down. So how do you fundamentally think about having the data centers um, designed and operated with the minimum cost, right? So basically, hardware deflation really means two things. One is price deflation, that is absolute price, right? And performance deflations, right? More important is cost per unit of performance drop. So people are not just talking now the speed in gigahertz or something. They are talking about performance per watt or performance per dollar. Those kind of things we have to keep thinking, right? So why it is happening? Because Moore's law, this is scaling, right? Manufacturing, there is a learning curve, right? There are bigger, larger fabs, like you are seeing 200 mm fab versus 300 fab, right? Process optimization, right? Now people are, Intel like companies working 1.8 nanometer technology, right? So a lot of innovation everywhere, software side, hardware side, right? These are all important aspects, right? What kind of new memories, right? You have talked about HDD versus SSD. Do you know what is HDD and SSD? Can anybody say what is HDD and SSD? Have you heard about it? HDD
Hard disk
and
drive and solid state drive.
yeah. So what is the difference? Do you know? Volatile, non-volatile, anything can tell? What is HDD is magnetic. Okay, HDD is magnetic hard disk drive, and SSD is NAND flash memory. It is a semiconductor. Okay, so HDD will be slow, but SSD is very fast, right? Latency is more in HDD, but SSD's latency will be less, right? But power consumption also HDD used to consume a lot of power, but SSD lower power, right? There will be noise when you have this HDD, but SSD is very silent. But what is the cost per gigabit, right? HDD is very low cost, but SSD is expensive. But you see all the benefits that I talked about: speed, power, noise, shock resistance, right? All those things, SSD wins. So people are ready to spend more money, right? So all those things you need to understand as a server or data center designer, or how do you operate it more efficiently? What is the pros and cons, right? So now you can see the fourth bullet here. You can see that due to the challenges of performance, means you have to continually increase the performance. Workloads are also changing, different. So properly built server virtualization storage platforms has been very expensive. People, if you heard about FPGA, right? AMD bought FPGA company. Which company they bought? AMD FPGA company. AMD bought FPGA company. Which one? Xilinx. Intel bought FPGA company. Which one? Altera. Why? Why they are doing? They are trying to use not just the servers but FPGAs to optimize based on the workload. So that's why they found the need, because these are the companies, AMD, Intel, older companies who used to give the servers. Now NVIDIA is doing too good, right? So these workload optimization is very, very important, right? So basically hardware is becoming a commodity, right? So how do you use the SSDs, correct? How to build the server virtualization? Anybody can talk about what is server virtualization means? Anybody understand what is server virtualization means? What is server virtualization means? This word is there. What is server virtualization? This means it will allow one physical server to run the multiple independent virtual servers, right? Virtual machines, they call VMs, right? Each with its own operating system and applications by using something called as hypervisor. Have you heard about hypervisor? Okay, hypervisor is you can say different word for one physical server, right? One physical server is running multiple independent virtual servers, that is called virtual machines, and each with its own operating system and applications by using something called hypervisor, that is software. Okay, so server virtualization means one physical server behaves like many server. Okay, that is called virtualization. Okay, why virtualization exists? Because one application per physical server, right? Very low utilization in that case, right? Very high cost, power, space waste, everything. But virtualization will solve all these problems. It will share the hardware efficiently. It will improve the utilization from 10-15% to 60 to 80% utilization. It will enable the rapid provisioning and scalability. All that is possible with the virtualization. So you should know these key things, right? If you say you want the key components of virtual machines, then you should say there will be some physical servers, definitely there will be some memory, there will be some storage, there is some networking cards, right? But there will be something called hypervisor, that software layer that abstract the hardware, right? Schedule the CPU, schedule the memory, schedule the IO. It will isolate all the virtual machines, right? And these virtual machines can be virtual RAM, virtual storage, virtual network controller chip, or its own operating system. So there are different hypervisors. Anybody can give the example of hypervisor? There is Microsoft's Hyper-V is there. Okay, so maybe when we talk about design of the um, data centers, we will talk about this, right? There is VMware's ESXi, there is a hypervisor. Okay, all those things, concepts you should know. These data centers are not just putting the multi servers together and connecting. It is finally end of the day a computing machine. It's like a simple computer, but very high compute resources, very high memory, a lot of networking things, and now this concepts of how to create a stack, okay, how to do the server virtualization is the concept, right? So the idea is to reduce the cost. Basically, you need to do all these things, and this helps overall to run or operate the cost center, this data center with a minimum cost. Okay, now what all the things we are doing? We are uh, trying to do the simpler platforms. That means what? IT department will look at how do I look at a platform, right? There will be uh, manufacturers or consultants to help them build the system, and that's where your knowledge as engineers to understand how to manage the IT system or IT staff with the minimum cost, right? We have hiring IT staff, how to manage complex solutions. So you have to look at simpler platforms, and we have to reduce the staff overhead, and we have to think intelligent way to overall reduce the cost, not just hardware, software cost or manpower cost, but overall cost, right? So this is not easy for a IT, right? IT guy has to now know what is the current trends, right? He should know what are the new additional responsibility he has to handle compared to what traditionally he used to do, right? So his role is expanding, and he has to continuously upskill. He cannot say, oh, I don't know what is AI workload looks like. How do you manage it? What are the security threats coming, right, in the future, right? All that continuous upskilling is important, and the IT guy's role expansion is happening. At the same time, if this is happening, we cannot pay too much and increase the cost of operation. So these are the very important aspect that you should know when we say I'm optimizing my data center with a minimum cost, right? So those who do not learn to handle the additional responsibility will be redundant, right? Or you can say their job is gone anytime, right? So your skill will be stagnant if you don't upskill. So this is one of the aspects that you should know as an engineer, where you are looking at what is happening on the data center side in terms of design, operation, and new IT related work, right? So you have to think about customer service and business. That is most important. What does it mean? That means IT departments face pressure to do more with less, right? That means you have to work on various vendors. You cannot do everything. So you have to do it very in a short time solutions, right? We have to give premium support, right? We have to do proactive analytics. That what it means leading manufacturers use connectivity and big data to proactively address customer issues. So proactive analytics, all these keywords, you should know what is vendor reliance means. How do I work with different vendors and work with the experts in a certain area to ensure that overall I can optimize the cost? How do I troubleshoot if anything goes wrong, in a given time, right? Because everything you can imagine, a stock exchange is suddenly down in the middle of the business. It's a big, huge cost loss, right? So we need to think all those proactively, right? So the ideal support call is one that never needs to happen, zero tickets. That means it is running, you are proactively taking care of many aspects, right? So CIOs and IT directors plan to shift infrastructure maintenance to partners and vendor management, because there are now various experts are being involved in managing that. So you are not only talking about data center management or having the optimized software or reducing the power consumed by the server, but you have to look at who are the experts available in the world and who can do what in the best possible way, and how do I manage them, right? So saying vendor management, managed services, these are the new paradigm, right? These are the new things coming to do the better job. Otherwise somebody else will take your job, right? IT staff will have to focus on innovation, and you have to think about how do I add value for the customer, right? So that value means utility or warranty increase. You have to find out the ways. How do I make it interesting for customer? It is beneficial for customer with the cost they are spending. If your competitor is giving the same solution, but he can give some value add, you are going to lose the business. So you have to think proactively like that. You have to be more innovative when designing it. That's what it means. Okay. Now, um, again, what are the IT departments doing? They should focus on providing value, right? So to their internal customer as well as their employees or whatever, right? So everybody has to benefit. You will have, one, suppose I'm in charge of data center, then there will be some internal, external customers, there will be employees, staff, everything you have to think holistic, right? So customer service, customer can be internal or external, right? And there is always competition, right? So new technology enables business agility on the manufacturer side also. IT will have to continue providing the services user need, and whatever they want, whenever they want, user will assuredly find them anywhere, right? So service competitiveness, this is another keyword that you should know when you are running and designing and maintaining the database, right? Better alternatives you have to give, right? And tools, right? There are some shadow IT is a term used to describe business units for individuals or other than IT who deploy technical solution. That is shadow IT, unsanctioned tools, right? So they are not sanctioned or controlled by IT, but they will solve their business problems. So what is it means? He should be aware about all these keywords, right? Like, he should know what's happening around, and what is unsanctioned tool means. What is this staff which is other than the IT staff? Okay, how to manage, and who are those and what are they provide, right? So simple example, if you take like a few individuals in the finance department, they are using personal Dropbox folders to share files, while the business chosen direction to share the company files in a SharePoint, right? So this is very simple, small thing, but what is that unauthorized sharing versus the legal proper sharing means? All these terms you should know. So basically, if you are unaware about what is happening in the organization and what are the needs and how, because this again you sharing some data, not one person, there will be, like suppose HCL has 2,25,000 employees, and if each of them use the SharePoint to share the data, or their what, how do you manage it? Is it we should give the some space to individual, or we should have common place for teams to access it, or department wise we should do it? That memory management itself is a big task. So you need to be aware about what is happening and how do I give the better solution. Okay. Now the situation right now is adapt or die. That means there is a change, constant change. And if you are not on top of the constant change, you will be absolute, right? Somebody else will take your job. That's the called disruption, right? So you can think about it. The life cycle is exactly the same in IT, right? That means there are household names in the industry that are more or less irrelevant. For example, if you heard about Nokia, let's say Motorola, now the Apple phone is the one who is dominating the market, but Motorola is the inventor of the phone, right? So same thing can happen in case of this new servers and new business, right? So you have to keep in mind. Okay, and also for your engineer's perspective, individual career, if you don't learn, don't upskill, everybody is now talking AI. So suppose now I'm managing a design team, so they are telling your bonus will be linked to what AI you are using and what kind of efficiency you are producing. Think about it. This is challenging, right? So you have to evolve, you have to improve your skills. This is called adapt adapt. So this is very, very relevant to what you are learning in this course, right? So IT, not just a capital investment, but operational. So how do you make a operational excellence, right? What are the things, right? When you have an enterprise environment, you have to have certain limited budget. Within that budget, you have to manage operations or expansion, whatever is required. So there will be some budget for capex, some budget for opex. So now you have to say, if they say your operation expense cannot go beyond this, some X dollar. So you have to think, what is my budget available for operations, and how do I um, uh, you know focus and reduce my overall expenses for operations, right? Opex is funding only this much, so I have to look at every small dollar where it goes for operation perspective, and I have to optimize, right? So you can think that a large component of the recent success in these areas is due to shift of on-premise versus cloud. On-premise means you invest upfront, buy the servers, buy the memory, buy the network cards, have the software, everything, and build your data center yourself on-premise. Right now, people are not doing that. There is some term called software as a service, right? We have a cloud where Google, like Amazon, these guys can give you Azure. You have heard, right? You have heard Azure. What is the equivalent of Azure from Google? Can somebody tell me what is the equivalent of Azure? Google is giving what? Or Microsoft cloud? What are the different cloud available? Yes, sir. Anybody? Azure is sorry.
AWS.
AWS, excellent. This is from AWS is giving who? Who is giving? Amazon. Google? Okay. AWS is Google. Microsoft is Azure. Okay. Hyperscale cloud platform from Microsoft is called Azure. Okay. So what kind of platform anybody else gives? You just mentioned AWS. Anything like AWS? AWS is whose, what is the AWS means? Amazon Web Services, right? Amazon, AWS. Okay. So there is basically software as a service. If you see, the whole AWS is organized in the layers like application layer, managed services, virtual infrastructure, and physical hyperscale data center, right? The physical means actual hardware, right? Then they have virtualized infrastructure, they call IaaS, okay? And then they have managed services like PaaS, they call, right? Application in a SaaS. All those terminology you should know, okay? Different physical layers, right? Custom silicon, they will have servers, they will have virtual machines, all those, right? So there is something called Nitro system. Have you heard about Nitro system? Have you heard Nitro system for networking? Okay. Anyway, Nitro offloads the infrastructure work to the dedicated hardware. Anyway, you need to know all these cloud, systems, and who is doing what, and what is the cost competitiveness, what are the feature competitiveness, what is the benefit, right? Why we go? Because performance is better, storage, but security may be the challenge, right? We need to find out what is the storage architecture, how the AWS is managing, how is the Azure managing, right? What is the file system look like? There is something called block storage. I don't know whether you heard about it, virtual disk and all that, right? So all those aspects you should know before we go and talk to these different cloud companies, right? So there is subscription based, right? You can monthly pay like a monthly phone bill, right? You can, same thing you can do for IT infrastructure. Shifting the IT resources to the cloud, this is shifting the way we budget it, and you can, based on the demand, you can increase the compute resource, you can increase the memory, you can reduce it. It's very easy. But when you put a capital investment yourself, it is not that easy, right? We cannot, take care of the peak needs, or there is a low in demand. So you can, all that you can do with the subscription based model or cloud based model, right? So while buying a pile of servers and network equipments to complete projects over the next year is budgeted as a capital expense, and the organization actually can, instead of building their own, they can go for some hybrid model. Hybrid means some they can have, from cloud, or some they can have their own, right? They can invest capital. So all these words you should know. Have you heard about service OpEx? What is service OpEx means? Have you heard about service OpEx? What is service OpEx? See, service OpEx means basically operating expenditure. Okay, this is generally referred to the ongoing recurring cost required to run and deliver the service. That's why it's called service service OpEx. Service. What are those service? Okay, like energy cost, operations and maintenance, right? Network or connectivity, or the facility where we house these servers, right? And then we have to think about depreciation related costs, right? Equipments, you have to refresh, how many 5 years we are changing. There will be some warranty extensions. All those things you have to look at. So they generally, this is called service OpEx. Okay, so service OpEx in the cloud and in the data centers, you should know what are the different components and how much we spend. Like for example, the typical operational expenses for a hyperscale data center, you can have power and cooling almost like 50% cost. Okay, just you can, maybe I will give this separately in some notes, but power and cooling will cost you 50%. Hardware maintenance can cost you anywhere between 15 to 20%. Networking can cost you 10 to 12%. Staff and operation can cost you 10%, 10 to 12%. And other expenses, right, can be like facility or what, that can be 5 to 10%. So all those operational expenses you should know, and you should know how do I optimize each of the operational cost when I build the IT infrastructure or server system. Okay. Now, what is called asset lock-in? Anybody has heard about asset locking? Asset locking. Anybody can tell me what is asset lock-in means? Have you heard this word, by the way? Asset lock-in. Okay. So asset lock-in means a situation where investment in assets, like what is the asset? Hardware, software, or even the data or all the processes, right? Make it difficult or costly to switch an alternative provider, right? Because you have already locked your asset. You already bought some servers. You already bought some software. Okay. So in the cloud or data centers and in the IT system, asset lock-in is a strategic risk actually, not just the technical one. It is a strategic risk, but they know whether this is the right risk they have to take or not. So you can switch to the vendors later when you want to expand and all that. But the cost and the time and the disruption that you are going to have over the asset lock-in, you have to think about it, right? So what are the types of asset lock-ins? If there is a question for you in examination, right? What you will write? Types of the asset lock-ins is hardware asset locking. Okay, there will be software or platform asset locking, or there will be data locking. What is data locking means? Data locking means there will be um, proprietary data formats or something is there, right? So massive data sets are there. You already invested in that, like moving petabytes of data, right, from one storage place to some other or some other expensive thing. It can be a migration cost. So you have to say, how do I manage that? And if somebody asks you what is operational lock-in means, operational lock-in means staff related, right? They trained staff, right? We train them already. They have to be there, right? Or you have written some customized automation scripts, right? Or you have some integrated monitoring or billing system built, so that you have to make sure that is invested, right? You already invested. So how do I make sure that asset locking is understood, and how do you take care of this when you're migrating, right? They can accept some amount of asset locking, but you need to be careful how much I'm locking my asset on what part, and how do I be flexible, right? Like in a software as a service application is billed per user on a monthly basis. There is no need to pay for the license, right? You can say like you have uh, you have heard about this tool called Force. What is Force? What is that tool? Have you heard about something Force? What is that tool? I'm just forgetting. What is the Force? Something Force tool. Force. What is that Force? That tool. I'm forgetting the name of the. Anyway, I will remember and tell you. There are different tools, right? You don't have to buy the license. Okay, you can just
Is it
take
Salesforce, sir?
Salesforce, sorry, Salesforce. So common, right? It is so many people are using, right? Salesforce license. If it is costing a lot of money if you just buy that. So they will do, okay, users, okay, per user we can pay the money to the Salesforce, right? That tool. So it's a very, by the way, expensive. But you have to see what is best. Should I have that some licenses bought into and used by everybody, or we should pay it per user basis? You have to make that call. Okay. So basically it can also be used for like this month cancel next month, and all that is possible. Or I have 10 users this month, next month I have only 5 users, so you can modulate the cost. So all those thinking has to be important, right? So this IT guy who is managing the operation cost, he should understand what is the best for me, right? So should I buy the license, or I should pay as a software as a service? That is good. You have to think. Okay. So OpEx advantage, right? Due to these advantages from budgeting and control standpoint, products and services offering a model that will require little or no capital expense and allow the budgeting as an operational expense. Sometimes you'll say, I have zero capex budget this year. No additional hardware, software, nothing I'm going to add. Only I will give you additional budget for OpEx. So you can then figure it out, okay, which licenses I need, which are the hardware I can take it from Azure or any other cloud company, right? So that's how you modulate your expenses for operation cost. Okay. Now, what are the other aspects, right? Uh, think about this consumption pricing. What is means? That means what this means is for infrastructures, for the manufacturers, right? Let's say they want very granular control. They want the transparency, right? Like, so how you spend your operational expense for leasing, billing based or monthly uses based. You have to think, right? So you have to expand in a small predictable chunks. You don't just upfront spend it, right? So this is all called consumption pricing, right? This will help IT department for doing the consumption price based on the consumption you are investing, right? So offering insight and helping the customer to increase efficiency and accuracy over the course of the billing cycle, that will create the lasting loyalty. So value analysis, you are actually very transparent with the customer and you are telling, okay, this is what I'm going to do and this is how it will help you, right? Shifting the focus from capex to opex is also very important. And now hybrid model, right? Some you can have on premises, some from the cloud, private versus you can have on the cloud. So those kind of things, right? And scalable storage, this is very important, right? Rather than having you can buy the overall storage yourself and companies can invest heavily. Instead of that, we have to use a software defined storage, right? Where you can use scalable storage, like a pay per use, right? So have you heard about this hyper converged infrastructure, HCI? Anybody has heard about what is HCI means? Hyper converged infrastructure. Anybody has heard about hyper converged infrastructure? This is the IT architecture that combines the compute, storage, and networking into a single software defined system. That is called HCI, hyper converged infrastructure. So this is the IT architecture term that will combine compute, storage, and networking into a single software defined system, typically running on across 86 servers or managed from one control plane. So this will HCI means you can say it is a server plus some storage plus some networking, and it will be tightly integrated and managed by software. Okay, and why HCI was created? Because there will be separate servers, a separate storage. It can have a complex networking, multiple vendors and tools you can use. But if you have a traditional data, that's what will happen, right? In the traditional data centers, you will have separate servers, right? Separate storage, complex networking, multiple vendors and tools you have to use. But if you have HCI, then it will simplify everything into one stack. It will reduce the hardware and operational complexity. Also, it will enable the cloud-like operations on the premises. So please remember these terminologies, okay? Hybrid models, HCI model, whatever it is, right? So basically, today in this presentation, what you understood is what is the data center, what are the key components. Like, anybody can tell me what are the key components of data center? Key components of data center. Anybody can tell? Key components of the data center we talked about. Yes, please. Anybody can tell? Key components of the data center. So these components can be divided into infrastructure or IT systems and operations, right? So there will be compute, there will be some storage, there will be some networking, you will have some power, you can have backup power, cooling arrangement, security, reliability. All these are different buckets. These are the different components, right? So compute, storage, networking, power infrastructure, power distribution, backup power, cooling, thermal management, and the physical infrastructure where you house these data centers, right? And definitely this data center has to connect to the outside world, so there will be network connectivity. And of course, when you have data center, you need to think about security, physical security or logical security. You have to think, and you have to operate it, monitor or manage this data center, right? Infrastructure. You may have to think about fire detection. You have to have something, software control, right? Hypervisors I talked about, right? And staff also is required. So all these are the different components of the data center. And then we talked about types of data centers, then how the modern data center is evolving, what are the challenges for the IT director, right? And how simplification is the new box. Like, so complexity is increasing. How do you make it simple? I have to focus on the cost reduction, right? And how to not just only worry about capex but opex, and how both can be optimized. Okay, I will stop here. This is the first presentation. I'm stopping here. I'll see if there are questions. Anybody has any questions? Very good. Somebody has summarized it. Is process. Okay. Okay. Should I go to the next presentation? Yes. Everybody, you are there? Okay. We have uh, up to 3:45 minutes, half an hour more. So let me start the new presentation. Okay. So the new presentation, again, we'll continue on this. So this is the book I was talking about. I will send you the link. Maybe in the chat I will put you. This is a soft copy available. Okay, building a modern data center principles and strategies. Okay, this is a good book. Lot of files and data is from this book. So please use this soft copy. I will send this in the chat. Okay, chat box. I will share you the link of this. Okay, so now in the second compact session, you need to learn what is a data center principles, what is a data center means. We'll continue talking about it. We talked about adapt and die, right? And flattening the IT organization, what it means, and how the IT operational expenses we have to reduce, right? So data center, we talked about data center are special environment that helps in protecting and safeguarding the organization's valuable data on equipments. And data center hold business transaction, hosting your website, maintain your financial records, right? Routing of your email server, if you heard about it, right? Storing the intellectual data, some IP data or whatever, right? So all that is done by your data center. So slide only. Okay, so data center and its values. So what is the value the data center is adding to the business or organization? So data connectivity, right? You communicate through employees or outside, inside or outside organization communication, emails, right? You want to store data, SharePoint we talked about. You created some IP, some documentation you have to store, and you can have new ideas, everything, when you are doing all that, or you are researching some topic, so you have to go use network and find out, use chat gpt, well, and then whatever, right? You have similar in Microsoft. What is like a chat gpt equivalent in Microsoft? What is the chat gpt
Copilot.
equivalent? Copilot, very good. So you need to use all that for researching some document, something, right? So a multinational company would need emails. They need email server to communicate internally or external to the customer. They would surely need some storage for files storing, right? For keeping the company data. And it would also require the secure incoming and outgoing connectivity network, because you are communicating to the whole world for continuing your business. So this is the value of the data center. And what are the key principles of data center? Reliability, scalability, and elasticity. We talk about each of them, right? So these are the, you can, if somebody asks you, what are the key principles of building, designing, and operating the data center, you should say reliability, scalability, and elasticity. So what is reliability means? So data center should provide uninterrupted service to the business and a continuous access for critical daily operations. So that is the reliability, continuous operation, right? Reliability of data centers highly depends on its infrastructure, right? Hence the infrastructure should be designed keeping in mind the minimum downtime. You cannot afford to have downtime, right? Suddenly you say emails are not working, what will happen? So a lot of business uncontinuity. It has to be continuously operational. So that is first. Infrastructure is highly responsible for data flow within and outside organization. Hence, it is required to have good network. Suppose you go to your office and you are working on some simulations or something, you are doing some design and bandwidth or network is slow, people will get frustrated, right? Or tools, some licenses you have bought and they are not running, or you are not able to access some license, right? So these all things need to be considered. So reliability in terms of performance, speed of the network, everything. And non-reliable data center is directly responsible for business loss. People will say, I wasted 1 hour because this tool I was accessing and it got hanged, or I run this job and the memory was inadequate. So this has, came out without completing the full job, right? So and the interruption happened. So that is a loss, business loss, right? So common sense principles to improve the data center operations are, you have to simplify things. Simplicity, like we said, talked about simply, it is a new black, right? Is more reliable than complexity. Make it simple. Computers are more reliable than people, so make sure all the system processes, you make it like that. Equipment performance degrades over time and use, so you have to have depreciation cost. You have to say what is the new design I need to put when the machine is going to be, if some server goes off, Intel will say you have only 5 years warranty and you are running it more than 5 years, so I can't guarantee. So you have to make sure you upgrade your server system, memory, whatever, right? So every product has a life cycle. So you have to make sure that you are not overusing it, right? Higher quality equipment has better availability, right? Reliability than the poor quality equipment. So buy the best and best, right? A GPU, what is the utilization? And if you are putting investment, initial investment, you will measure, okay, what is the performance I'm going to get? What is the performance per watt? What is the performance measured in any other way, right? It's performance per watt, or how many, what is the bandwidth I'm going to get, all those things, what is the speed, everything, like power, area, how much it is taking, everything you have to take. The accuracy of uncalibrated sensors and transducers decreases over time, so you have to think about replacement and all that, not just your server but every system. Starting and stopping equipment imparts more stress than when equipment is stable in operation. So you have to think about it. When is downtime? People will say, okay, the servers will be down by this time because of maintenance. All that things you need to understand when you are talking about data center operations. Okay. So now next word you heard was scalability. What is scalability means? There is something called vertical scalability and something called horizontal scalability. So what is vertical scalability means? So scalability of data center is a very
हेलो
sensitive area. Yes, please tell. You have question?
या
Yes,
नमस्ते
please.
आ,
Please.
मैंने yesterday पिन किया था आपको व्हाट्सएप पे आप अवेलेबल नहीं रहते क्या व्हाट्सएप पे
Are you asking me?
सॉरी
Anybody? Are you asking me?
हाँ मतलब मुझे रिस्पांस नहीं आया मुझे वो बुकिंग
Hello,
करना था
somebody is
बर्थडे के लिए
looks like somebody is talking to somebody else.
सॉरी
Guys, please unmute.
क्या बोल रहे हो आवाज कट हो रहा है आपका हाँ बोलिए
अरे यार, this person is talking to somebody else, looks like. Hello? Okay, sorry guys. Are you guys were hearing or only I was hearing? Somebody is talking in Hindi. People were hearing him? WhatsApp something? Hello? Are you there? Please stop. Okay. So we were talking about scalability. Vertical scalability means scalability of the data center is very important. Organizations doesn't want to think far ahead and get big rooms and spaces for the data center with a big cost and later end up not growing to the expected level, still paying for oversized data center space, power, everything, infrastructure, right? So we need to have this vertical and horizontal scalability. Other way around, organizations can't be left with strangled data center spaces. That means business is growing, or business as per the business need, we need to somehow grow, right, space, or grow the compute power or memory or something. So best solution for the organization is look forward to pay as they grow, rent the place for data center. As business grows, they can spend more to get scalability factor under control, right? Paying only for what we need will surely help in avoiding the capital expenses and reduce the cost of the business losses during the downtime as well. So anybody can tell what is the horizontal and vertical scalability? If you understood from the picture, vertical and horizontal scalability. Anybody can? Data center, right? Vertical and horizontal scalability.
Sir, in vertical scalability,
Hmm.
like we increase the number of server, but in horizontal we
More
increase the
more CPU
configuration.
cores, right? More CPU
Uh,
cores or more memory, right? Or faster storage or bigger
uh,
GPUs. That is called vertical. Okay.
yeah,
You can upgrade the same machine, or upgrade the OS or applications, right? You don't change the architecture. Architecture remains same. That is called vertical. Okay. And what is horizontal? Please tell me what is horizontal.
with the same configuration we increase the number of servers.
More web servers, right, behind the
Right.
load balance, right, distributed databases, right, or compute clusters you are increasing, right. So this is for load balancing or distributed systems, right. So basically it will help you, right. You can unlimitedly scale it, right. It will give you cost benefit. Huh? You can increase the commodity hardware, right. um, so typical use cases, web servers or cloud native apps or big data or AI workloads, you can do horizontal scaling. So please uh, look at more details and understand. Now third principle was elasticity. What is this elasticity means? Elasticity for data center is used to define the threshold value for any environment. Thereafter, there are big chances of the breakdown. So what is elasticity will tell? Elasticity. Anybody can explain what is elasticity means, what they understood elasticity of data center? Anybody can tell what is elasticity? Elasticity of data center is the ability to dynamically increase or decrease the compute, storage and network resources. Okay, based on the demand, right? It should be quickly and automatically without human intervention. It should do it. That is called elasticity, right? Scale up or scale down on demand is called elasticity. Okay, data center should be adaptable enough when there is increase in utilization of the resources, or should be rolled back if the normal users or reduce users. So it should be able to scale up or scale down on demand is called elasticity. So what is the difference? If somebody asks you what is the difference between elasticity and scalability? Scalability means ability to grow, scale, right? And elasticity means ability to grow and shrink. That is called elasticity. That is the difference. So always when we say my business is scaling, it's always we're talking about growth, right? But elasticity means you can shrink or you can grow. That is called elasticity, right? So why elasticity matters? Because demand is unpredictable, okay, and over positioning will cost you more, right, and under positioning will cause you some loss, right. So you have to be elastic, you have to have elasticity to reduce the cost or reduce improve the performance or improve the availability, right. For example, Flipkart, big billion sales, where the company themselves don't know number of hits, and hence they need to have an elastic solution to maintain the unpredictable. So year-end sell, something like that. Okay. So for that, they have to be ready. So if you see how much Alibaba made a sell on a certain Alibaba sells. Anybody has heard about data? Alibaba sells in like a an, year-end sales. Have you heard how much they make year-end sales? Alibaba. Anybody heard about this Alibaba? How much was the year-end sales? How many people must have bought it and how much worth business they have done? Year-end sales maybe like you can imagine some discount they offered and um, so basically that is a e-commerce company, right? Alibaba is a e-commerce company and 2025 March like ending 31st they already did a business of $137 billion. Okay, this is like total company's sales, right? So year end business like they said that is their goal, right? By um, last year March 2025 they did 137 billion, right? So you need to see they can roughly generate that much big money and if you want to see how much they make it, sales they made, let's say in the uh, week of December, let's say last week of December. Suppose you ask what is the sales they made in last week of December. Anybody have heard about this? This is like a huge number compared to whatever we say. So you can say public available data I could not see, but there is I heard almost like 8% increase and almost 38 billion revenue. So this kind of peak needs you have to take into account. So this is called elasticity. Just giving the example, right? And we talked about adapt and die, but in this case you just see the additional, right? It is not the strongest of the species that survives, but the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change will survive. This is Darwin's principle, right? So the world of IT operates in a very similar way as the rest of the world. Things change over time, and those companies and technologies who change, like Qualcomm build a cell phone chip which integrates everything and Motorola was behind. So analog phone Motorola was number one and then Qualcomm integrated everything together. So or anybody else integrate together, people will not buy four chips. Instead of that they will buy one chip. So you have to change, you have to be flexible and nobody cares, right? What you were the original innovators or what doesn't matter, right? So but reality is you either do it and be flexible, be have that scalability, elasticity, all these principles. Otherwise, um, like the movie rental giant Blockbuster was dominating the market until Netflix came and Redbox, innovated and Blockbuster failed to adapt and nobody is talking, right? I don't know whether all of you heard, but you must be hearing Netflix and using it, right? So this is what happens to anything, data center also, right? For this example, Blockbuster eventually went bankrupt, right? Is now an afterthought in the movie consumption industry, while Netflix is booming. It is all-time high right now. Okay, this life cycle is like exactly the same for the IT or server or data centers, right? So this household name Blockbuster now Netflix is a household name. So it is unfortunate, but this is what will happen. So as a IT administrator or data center director, you need to make sure that you adapt to the new architectures. Do not just do the things that you are doing 2 years back, right? You have to be flexible, otherwise you will become irrelevant. That's what it means. Okay, so organization flattening. What is mean by flattening organization? So there are two organizations. We have a multiple hierarchy, right? So IT administrators prided themselves on their silos, right? So they maybe the stereotypical gray ponytailored storage administrators where the pride and joy of a thriving IT department. People are growing hierarchy. I'm boss in this, all that now maybe the way moving forward, flatten the organization means less number of hierarchies, right? So organization mentality has to change, right? IT department for future will become flattened, right? Very only few hierarchy and lot of things can happen automatically, and less number of staff and this hierarchy in the organization may not be required. So this is happening in the IT side, and you should know as a data center guy or IT person, if you are responsible, you should know about how the things are changing. Okay. Flattening again, like with the ongoing need to do more with less, the most lucrative jobs will be the roles whose responsibilities span a wide variety of technical specifics. You cannot just do, okay, so you are a license manager, something like that. You have to manage the license also, you have to manage uh, many other things also, right? You have to optimize the cost also, you have to talk to the different vendors. Let's say a EDA company, right, is giving different licenses. You should be aware about each licenses, which has what features. So you have to upskill all the time. The industry will place great value on highly proficient generalist as compared to the specialist, because things are changing. One of the primary disruptions to the industry that is driving the dissolution of silos was the mainstream adoption of x86 virtualization. As organizations across the globe have consolidated rooms full of physical servers down to a few racks, the supporting technologies have necessarily come closer together as well. So you need to find out what is evolving, what is the flattening of organization means, and how it will impact you as a IT director or IT organization. So virtualization in IT, anybody can tell what is virtualization in IT means, what is happening? Anybody can tell anything that you know. What is virtualization of the IT department means? This is the practice of abstracting the physical IT resources. Like what are the physical IT resources? Hardware, right? Storage, desktop, whatever is connected, all this, right? Into a software defined logical resources that can be created, scaled, moved, managed independently of the underlying hardware. So that is called virtualization. So virtualization means decoupling the software from hardware. Okay. And why it is important? Because if you just before virtualization, utilization was lower, it was slow provisioning, right? Very high capex and opex. Now because of the virtualization, your you can have a higher utilization, you can have a rapid provisioning, right? In few minutes you can change. It is very elastic and automated operations, right? So that is why people are going for virtualization. Okay. So there are different virtualization, server level virtualization. That means multiple virtual machines on one physical server, right? Or storage virtualization means physical disk abstracted into the logical pools. So there are something called software defined storage. Okay. So, and there is something called network virtualization. That means logical networks over the physical fabric. Okay. So like example, it will benefit, like a rapid network provisioning is possible if you use network virtualization. And there is something called desktop virtualization. I don't know whether you heard about it. Desktops run in the data centers, right? And users connect them remotely. So if you do the virtualization, then you can have centralized control and centralized security. So that is called desktop virtualization. And there is something called application virtualization also. That means apps run in a isolated environment, right? Containers, app streaming, all that, virtualization that will help you portability and fast deployment of these tools or applications. So this all virtualization, every level, right? Hardware virtualization, storage virtualization, network virtualization, desktop virtualization, application virtualization, all that you should know. Okay, because this has historically been quite a full plate. The focus is now on making life easier. Okay. So you need to be flexible. That's what the message is. To keep the cost down, agility up, and the IT professionals of the future will be expected to have broad skills, and they should be capable of transitioning quickly between the different areas of their skills, right? So they should quickly learn and unlearn, they call, right? So data center vendors will need to focus on making sure then they are incredibly, build the complex systems, or they have the innovative solutions, right? And they need to work independently and quickly adopt to the new designs, new architectures, new ways of handling the design data centers. Okay. Okay. What else? IT pushes decision making right lower in the organization. So you don't have to go hierarchy, ask this, that. You should be, independently working, right? You can say you should show the leadership at every level. Decision making has to be fast. That's why this flattening the organization, right? Managers will receive so much more accurate information on time because they created the leaders, not the employees, right? Fewer hierarchical layers, right? So management cost will decline, right? And as you have the organization, you see if there is firing happening in the organization, right, what they will do? The top managers, right? They want to reduce. Okay, this kind of first line managers, 100 people, they gone. Okay, why? Because they are trying to flattening the organization. So all that will happen in the IT organization also, because how the data center is run and operated is also, um, we have to think exactly the same way how the bigger organization works, right? Let's see, if somebody asks you what are the challenges of the IT organization. First, finding and retaining the top talent, because people need to be flexible, they should be upskill. What is the skill available? So today, by the way, I'm struggling to find somebody who can do EDA license manager, let's say, optimize the cost. Suppose somebody says I'm going to do some SOC design. So how many front end, back end tools, what tools should I go for, Cadence or Synopsys, or see, the finding the right people is also key. The same thing for IT organization, right? So security again, right? So we have so many security threats, right? Without increasing reliance on technology, ensuring the robust cyber security measures, right? So there are softwares, or there are people who do, they call ethical hacking. Have you heard about ethical hacking? Anybody has heard about ethical hacking? What is ethical hacking means? Have you heard about ethical hacking? Anybody? Ethical hacking means they are
So,
authorized
cy-
and the
so
legal
it's a
practice.
cyber security. It's a cyber
Hmm.
security technique to test the security limits of the system.
Excellent. Very good. So purpose is we have to identify security weakness, right? We have to prevent the data breaches, right? We have to protect users and organizations and improve the security overall, right? So that's why they are, like, you can call them ethical hackers as a friendly attackers, right? So their job is they are authorized to, do all this, right? Ethical hacking is authorized, is documented, and it is bounded by the scope. Their scope is also defined, and there are different types of ethical hacking, by the way. There is something called white hat hackers. I don't know whether you heard about it. Bug bounty hackers, maybe we can talk that later, but there are a lot of such things are there, and you need to be prepared. So I will stop on this page, okay, where challenges of the IT organization, and we can talk further next time. But before I close, we have a couple of minutes. Anything? I will share the mm, where is I will share the book. Okay, I will share the book, this digital copy of the book. Please refer it whenever you want. And I'm thinking to upload both these presentations in Takshila. Please look at it. And the remaining part of the presentation, I will continue from next time. But please come up with the questions. When you have dialogue, when you have discussion, you will learn more. This is very general topic, but very, very important. And you need to be up to date yourself when you say, I have learned a course called data center design operation, right? So it is very much evolving, everyday thing changing. A lot of things are happening. And this syllabus I was looking, they built it in 2022 or 2020, I don't know. So we will incorporate some of the latest things happening. I will bring in the data and information which will help you to know better about what is going on in the data center side. Okay. Any questions, concern, comment? Is this pace okay, or I'm fast, or is this okay? Anybody has any comment? You are okay? I hope I will send these presentations. Please look at them, and once you have questions, feel free to even send me email. I will share my email ID. But anyway, you have the
Hello,
my
sir.
yes, sir. Tell.
Yeah, sir, in this syllabus, are we going to talk about power and cooling all in detail?
Yes, yes, everything. Yes, in detail. Yes,
All the
yes,
other key
absolutely.
components in detail. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Because the whole course is the design and operation, right? So this is the general overview now. What is it, and what are the challenges? What is the IT team is doing? All these basics, right? But we will find out what is the latest trends in that, and how do you look at each of the component in details. Okay. And my mobile number also I'll share with you. If you want to write just a personal email, you can do that, or you can send the WhatsApp message and ask any questions that you have, not just this subject, but you can ask anything else where I can be helpful for you. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you so much, and have a great day, remaining day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I hope I stop the recording. Okay, stop it.
Sir,
Yes, yes, please.